Hello everyone, back again with Story Recap. Before we get to storyline, I wish all happy and great day. The film begins at Dr. Robert's house. We see a girl named Vera who is locked in a room alone. She asks that they bring her food. The servants bring her food to her room, but no one opens the door for her. After that, she puts on a dress. We see Robert, who is one of the most important plastic surgeons in the world, speaking in a lecture about plastic surgery for burn patients. He tells the students that the best solution for skin deformities is to change the old skin and replace it with another skin. He tells them that it is difficult to transfer skin from one person to another, but he can make artificial skin identical to human skin. He tells them that he is doing experiments on the skin of corpses and altering it genetically in order to transfer it to another person. He tells them that his invention is almost complete and will be launched soon. And this surgery has been performed only 5 times, and he was the supervisor of the surgeries. In the laboratory, Robert is doing some scientific experiments. We discover that he has kidnapped Vera in order to use her in his experiments. When he enters her, he finds that she has tried to kill herself, so he saves her before she dies. After that, he begins his experiments on Vera. He puts the skin on her body. He tells her that this leather is very strong and resistant to distortions. When he tried to burn her, she didn't feel anything. After that, he goes to a meeting attended by the most important plastic surgeons in the world. He told them that he had found a way to make the skin resistant to burns and cuts. He named his invention Gal after his wife, who died as a result of the burning. And he did all this because he loved his wife and wanted to protect all people from what happened to his wife. After the meeting is over, one of his friends, who is also a doctor, asks him how he made the skin strong. Robert tells him that he made a combination of human skin and transgenic pig skin because pig skin is very strong. When his friend told him that this method is immoral, he tells him that he knows all this is morally forbidden, but he was forced to do so in order to commemorate the death of his wife and also in order to protect people from the damage of burns. But his friend gets angry with him and tells him that if he continues with his experiments, he will inform human rights organizations because what he is doing is a crime. At home, Vera tells him that she wants to live a normal life and asks him to let her out of the room, but he refuses. The next day, Maria, who is in charge of the house, comes to him. She tells him that everyone knows that his wife is dead and that the experiments he is doing to superimpose his dead wife's face on Vera will lead him to prison because Vera will become exactly like his wife. She suspects that his goal is to serve humanity because she believes he only wants to see his wife's face. She asks him what will happen to Vera after he completes his experiments, but he didn't answer her. She also kicks all the employees out of the house so that they don't know the truth about Vera. Then a person named Zika comes dressed in a strange outfit, and we discover that he is Maria's son. He asks her to let him enter the house so he can see her, because he has not seen her for a long time, but she refuses to let him in so that he doesn't discover what is happening inside. But he insisted on entering, and she agrees. While eating, she watches on TV that her son is wanted for the thefts he has committed. After that, he tells his mother what happened and asks her to let him stay until things calm down, and then he leaves the city. He also asked her to convince Dr. Robert to perform surgery on him to change his appearance, but his mother refuses because of what Zeka did to Robert. Then she asks him to leave, but he doesn't care what his mum said. Then he notices the security cameras and sees Vera in the room. He thinks she's Robert's wife, Gal. When he asked his mother about it, she pointed the gun at him and asked him to leave. But he attacks her, takes the gun from her, and ties her up. Then he took the room keys from his mother and went to the room where Vera was. When he reached her, she tried to stop him from assaulting her, but failed. We find out that he did it because Vera looks like his ex-girlfriend, Gal. We also discover that Robert took Gal from Zika and married her. When Robert enters the house, he finds Maria tied up with a rope. He discovers that something has happened to Vera. He already finds Zika trying to assault her, so he kills him. After a while, Vera asks Maria why what her son Zika did. She tells her that Zika is Robert's brother, and that Robert's mother was sterile, and that's why Robert's father married her and gave birth to Robert, and made her raise him with her son Zika. She also tells her that Zika worked in the drug trade years ago. When Robert is older, he marries Gal and has a child. After a long time, the police tried to arrest Zeka, while Robert went to her for fear of being arrested too. At this time, Gal fell in love with Zeka and wanted to leave Robert and run away with Zeka. During their escape, the car gets into an accident and burns. Gal dies, and Zika flees. At the same time, Robert arrives at the car and takes Gal out of the car. Her body was completely burned. Robert tried to treat the effects of the burns, and because of what happened to his wife, Robert decided to break all the mirrors and turn off the lights in the house so that his wife would not see what she looked like. Robert continued to conduct experiments in his laboratory in order to find a cure for his wife. One day, Gal tried to open the window to watch her daughter, Norman, who was singing in the garden. But when she opened the window, she saw the reflection of her distorted face. She couldn't bear it, so she threw herself out of the window and died in front of her daughter, who also killed herself later because of what happened to her mother. Meanwhile, Robert returns after burying Zika's body. We go back to the past when Robert was at a party and his daughter was there, and he was looking at her and she was happy, but then he can't find her, so he goes out to look for her. Suddenly, he hears the sound of a motorcycle, but he continues searching for her until he finds her unconscious. When she regains consciousness, she starts screaming, and he tries to calm her down. Next, we see a young man named Vincent working with his mother in a clothing store. Then he goes to the party that Norman was at. He and Norman look at each other with admiration. After that, he asked her to take a walk together, and they continued talking. When Norman heard the song that her mother committed suicide while she was singing it, she collapsed and started screaming, and he tried to calm her down, but he failed. So he got scared and hit her and ran away. After a while, he told his mother that he was going to go out. On the way, a car approached him and collided with him. Someone gets out of the car and kidnaps him. Vincent's disappearance continued for a long time, and his mother went to the police to report his disappearance. The officer tells her that her son's motorcycle is in the sea, and that this is evidence that he drowned. Norman entered a psychiatric hospital and was afraid of anyone who approached her. After a while, Norman died. Robert then decided to take revenge on Vincent. It turns out that Robert is the one who kidnapped him. Then he told his fellow doctors that someone had asked him to undergo a sex change operation. He also asked them to do this surgery in complete secrecy. Robert decided to punish Vincent and turn him into a girl. In the beginning, he changes his genitals. When Vincent woke up, Robert told him that he had turned him into a girl, and that after a while, he would complete the rest of his surgery. Vincent had no idea why he had been kidnapped and turned into a girl. Robert tells him that he is the father of Norman, who died because of him when he tried to assault her, and he wants to take revenge on him for that. Robert begins the process of transforming Vincent into a girl, where it turns out that Vincent is Vera. Robert gives him the female hormone, and Robert assaults him from time to time in order to take revenge on him for what he did to his daughter. Vincent tried to kill himself more than once, but Robert saved him. Robert finally completed his mission, as Vincent took on the form of a girl. Then he locked him inside his room alone, transforming him to resemble his wife's appearance. Vincent finds no hope of escaping from the place, so he gets used to it. After Zika's accident and his assault on Vincent, Robert decides to let him out of the room. After a while, he was allowed to leave the house freely. He agrees to go out with Maria, and he promises Robert he will not run away. Indeed, he goes out and buys some clothes with Maria and comes home because he knows he can't escape from Robert. He wanted him to trust him. One night, Vincent went to Robert's office and found a picture of him with missing people when he was a man. He got angry and decided to take revenge on Robert. He finds a gun and goes to Robert in the room and points the gun at him and shoots him. When Maria heard the gunshots, she took the gun and went to see what was happening. When she enters the room, Vincent kills her too. Then he went to his mother's store. But when his mother saw him, she did not recognize him. The shopkeeper talks to the girl, but he tells her that it is Vincent, but she does not believe it. Vincent tells her what they were talking about earlier in order to make sure that it is Vincent. His mother approaches him and asks about his identity. He tells her that he is his son, Vincent. Don't forget to support me with the like and subscribe buttons. Stay tuned for more film recaps.